back to the Uncensored Voice. This is Randolph Macias, your host. With me, I have Adam Salyer up for a special election for Texas State House Rep District 118. How you doing, Adam?
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I wanted to ask you a few questions. For starters, what are the boundaries of your district?
Oh my goodness, this is vast. Like, this is the scope of what Texas truly is. I mean, we're talking ethnic diversity throughout the region. From one side, the south side of San Antonio, all the way to Randolph Air Force Base. We're talking 87 miles. Got Somerset, Elmendorf, St. Hedwig on the backside, got 1604. All the way to Randolph Air Force Base. It's literally little slivers of shirts, Cibolo, Converse, Selma. I mean, it's vast. It's almost like a little kid took a crayon and said, that's gonna be the district. That makes no sense, but that's what happened.
I saw the boundaries of that district, and that's kind of what it looks like, pretty much how you described it.
Oh my goodness, it's like a distorted boomerang. It's ridiculous to see the scope of this district.
And amongst Texas, I believe getting 2 extra seats now with the census that's came out, I'm guessing that some of these districts are going to be redrawn, whether it be Texas House, Texas Senate, U.S. Congress districts, stuff like that. So
that is a possibility, and that puts into the major factor of this special election, because telling you over and over again, redistricting is a crucial element for our state representatives. Redistricting gives you an outline for the representation that you're going to be given. So, for instance, let's just go in depth. Universal City is split between 2 districts. So if I was to accomplish any task at hand, I have to go to the other representative, which is 119, and ask them. Now, if party don't align or personal feelings don't align, we can't get nothing done. So that's one of the problems. So the crucial element for this whole election has got to be unity. You have got to unite to get anything done.
So people need to be reaching across the aisle instead of taking off to D.C. like what happened in our disastrous special session.
You know, I'm a hard-working citizen. Everything I've done, I work, I get paid, I work for my life. If you don't work, you shouldn't get paid, period.
Completely agree. These people were elected by the people that they represent, and I think that these people were done a disservice. And I just want to make sure I got that out in the open, because it's very well known what they did, and they did not do their job. And certainly we want somebody who's going to do the job and see it through to the very end.
Well, I mean, and you can support a conviction because obviously they're trying to exercise their rights. I understand that. But when you take this oath, when you become somebody that actually holds high to the factor of being a leader of a community, of a region, of a district, you take an oath to serve and protect and put their guidance in there. Under God, you do what you need to do to make it work. So I think that wasn't looked at first and foremost. And that's what we've got to stay firm with.
Yes, and actually something did get done finally at the behest of another special session. And Texas is now in the national spotlight. If the administration didn't look toward us about any other issues concerning the border, they're certainly looking at us right now, and they're certainly looking at our races, even if they are special elections, because there's a bigger agenda to fulfill in the grand scheme of things. How has COVID-19 affected District 118 for constituents there?
Well, let me just make this clear. COVID is a thing. We know that. We've established that. I don't want the half-hearted answers I'm getting from either region. I'm getting a notion of, he died of pneumonia. Oh, he died of this. Oh, he died of that. Give me the true numbers so I can make an educated, informed decision on whether to wear a mask or whether not. And again, it's not the mask, because we all know Republicans will listen and obey the governmental aspect. We will. But the thing is, it's a matter of give us the right. That's what we're fighting for here. The right to wear, the right to take away. I mean, that's what we need to really enforce here, because the Constitution means something.
It does.
And it gives us the right to be able to decide. I mean, does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense to me. My issue with it is you can wear a mask all you want, but don't force me by law, by mandate, to wear the mask, especially my child, my daughter, who's enrolled at her high school. Don't make her do it if she doesn't want to. But you can do. Your kids are your responsibility. Ultimately, parental authority must be respected at all levels of government, and I think that some of the districts did an overreach on that.
And to directly tie into what you just said, this means something. I carry this in my Bible everywhere I go, but it's more than just a book. You got to read it, and you got to stand firm on it. The Bible should be your additional document. That should be your first one uphold. 62, 63, when we took out prayer and we took out the Bible, that was an injustice throughout the land. We've got to find a way to bring those respect values back. Now, I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm telling you what it should be. Remember the good old days when you'd shake a hand and you'd look at your mom and dad and you'd tell them, yes, ma'am, yes, sir? We got to go back to those traditional views.
I do it today, even to people half my age, personally.
Exactly.
Because that's just the way I was raised.
Yes.
I hope that these values will continue on. Are there any law enforcement issues of concern, or you want to recognize some law enforcement challenges? Is this specifically in 118? Or is it?
I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of things that we need. I'll be the first to say. Defunding the police is not what we need. And I will tell every single one of you that. We've got to give our law enforcement the abilities they have to actually move forward. Now, taking away a lot of their funding, including our constables. Our constables were decreased by half. That's crazy. We need more law enforcement, especially now with the illegal immigration that we're having to deal with over and over again. We are becoming the harbor city for illegal immigrants all day long.
Yes.
I mean, constantly. And with that said, when that transition comes in, everything else comes in. Because it's like a gateway to making everything come in. As far as sex trafficking, as far as opioids, and yes, they are a thing. Even people that are oblivious to the thought, the country area you could possibly think of, that's where they're going. They're hiding where they don't know. And if we don't have enough law enforcement to back the criminal activities, we're going to set ourselves up for failure. If you don't have some type of enforcement, then guess what? Chaos is existent. You have to take away that notion of chaos. And you got to be firm. Authority has to help.
Yes, police are not the enemy. They're there to do a job. They're trained, highly trained,
correct,
professionals that don't get enough said about what the good that they do. So there's a lot of stories out there of police officers doing good for the community, but the mainstream media never puts that out, and we only see bad things about them getting DWIs or them getting put in their place on YouTube videos and whatnot. So law enforcement is extremely highly trained and needs to be, but we need to back the blue.
So I tell you, this derives directly into your question. You're asking, what do we need? They're going to need more support. Right now, we can't get an officer to step up a lot. There's a lot of officers leaving the force instead of stepping up and staying with us. We've got some brave men and women in the blue. We really do. But we've got to recognize that and find a way to infuse more to allow them to function better. I mean, does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. They need all the tools at their disposal that we could possibly give them. In San Antonio recently, speaking for the San Antonio part of your district, the Prop A did go through, which means that whatever bonds we voted on the city of San Antonio, now the city can spend at their discretion on certain things. They bought a hotel, for example, for the homeless.
The homeless, yes, 1.3 mil.
If it would have been brought to a vote, I don't know if the citizens would have approved that, but we did get Proposition B. We barely won on that one by 0.16%.
Correct.
Which leads into voter integrity. What are your concerns with voter integrity?
I'm going to tell you right now, 167,000 citizens voted or were in the notion of voting for this election. We get about maybe 60,000 that actually do vote. I got 23,000 plus citizens. Every one of their votes should have counted. And right now, the fact that I'm sitting here on a special election, I'm not so sure it did. Not only with my votes, but with everyone's out there. This should not be a challenge for us. It should be something gracious that we hold up high. The right to vote. I served 14 years in the military. And with that said, it's for a right to vote. It means something. It should count. Every single one of them, every soldier abroad, their votes should count.
This brings me back to reference the recent Marines and Army and Navy hospitalman that was recently attacked in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. They died for our right to vote,
yes,
and to have a duly elected government. And voting should be taken very seriously by all involved. And we'll be doing our best to get the word out and get people engaged and get them involved, so we can hopefully increase the voter turnout in not just your district, but any other district, even the opposition's district, that more people need to vote. But we want to make it easier for the right people to vote and impossible for the ones that should not be voting in our state, because there is clear evidence of that, and it has not been brought to light, and that's very frustrating. But we did pass a law, yet to go into effect, on voter integrity in the state of Texas, which is good, and hopefully will help a lot of candidates out. What are your thoughts on educational issues in your district? CRT has been at the top of the list right now. Critical race theory.
I'm going to tell you right now, historical preservation is one thing. Okay, we know the historical value of our country, but I will say critical race theory, is that really? Come on. Trying to infect our kids with the knowledge of we're going to throw this down your throat? Come on, that's not what you do with kids. Honestly, we've got to teach them and educate them. We need to go back to the Bible. We need to go back to the Constitution. Say a Pledge of Allegiance. That's what we need.
Do the children say pledges of allegiance still in public schools?
Some do, some don't.
I wasn't aware of some.
I'm telling you, some do, some don't.
All right.
And that's the problem. We're not getting the kids in the notion to unite and respect what we're bringing. There's a value to this country. Respect, love, honor. That's what we're about, y'all. Remember back in the day when we wanted to be a police officer, we wanted to be a soldier, running around the backyard, wanted to be a cowboy, we've lost that. Kids want to stay on a computer all day long instead of going outside and playing.
When I was a boy, we took a field trip to our local fire department. And I told my mom I wanted to be a fireman.
Oh my goodness, are you serious? See, that's what it's about.
Yes, and it's these first responders should be amplified in our schools. I've heard of recent stories of police officers visiting schools and talking about
and that's so crucial.
Being a good citizen.
That stimulates the kids. I'm telling you, it molds a mind. It creates a life of respect. It's unbelievable for that to happen. You know how unbelievable it is for a guy to come over and shut your door and say, hey, thank you very much, Mr. Officer. I appreciate you shutting my door. Wow. Now it's a surprising thing for us to do it.
Right.
You know, one or two choice few did some bad things here and there. You should not condemn them all, because it's been a good structure for so many years. Uphold what they bring to the table.
Yes, they put their lives on the line every day, and people don't even realize.
Every single day. So why not? I know when I was in the military, every single brother and sister I was with, I had their six. I cared about what they brought. That's what life's about.
That's true, and that's very admirable. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And what about pre-COVID, post-COVID business growth in the district? What's going on there?
Very challenging. Now, I'll tell you a quick little story. When I was running for mayor, I wanted to implement a grant program. I got a lot of ridicule saying, no, that's a federal program, you couldn't do this and that. Well, I approached the city attorney and asked, can we do this? Is this a possibility? Yes, you can. What I had actually wanted to instill is, let's formulate a plan where we do an application process. We've got some of the most brilliant minds in Universal City. Why not have them fill out for the grant program, put $1,000 aside or something like that, come in, we give you a 3 to 5 year plan, teach you how to grow your business, give you a structure, do a portfolio, figure out how to do this right. And guess what? Instead of just throwing you money, you've earned it. Now you know how to feed yourself, like the old parable. I teach you how to fish, you can live forever. Am I right or am I right?
You're absolutely right on that.
That's what I was trying to implement. Apparently then it wasn't good, but they're doing it today.
I've been noticing...
That's beautiful that they took that approach.
And I hope it continues.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people that have immigrated, legally from their countries, and they embrace the American dream. You will see convenience stores with Indian immigrants, Middle Eastern immigrants, and they fix it up just the way they want. They got their store, they got their business.
Yeah.
And Americans that are born and raised here seem to take that opportunity for granted. And I hope that this will spawn economic growth in your district.
Well, I think for a good bit of it, the necessity of being convenient. So it gets convenient on us, and then we get complacent, we sit back, and we don't want to strive for more. That makes no sense. You can throw me a stimulus check all day long, but when it cuts out, who pays that bill?
Right.
That's where checks and balances are crucial. One thing I love about a lot of immigrants that come to this country the right way, they strive and anticipate and become better and adversity, and they shift and they change gears. That's how we were when we first came to this country.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
So the problem's not immigration. The problem's illegal immigration, trying to rob the system and doing it wrong. We need to enforce and look at the notion of, let's do this right. Fill out the paperwork, do what you need to, go through the hard knocks, become a true immigrant to this nation. Because the very fact of the land of milk and honey, let's grow, let's do something worthwhile, build our businesses. Does that make sense?
Yes, we have great wealth here in the United States. And I hate to allude to the current administration, but I think they're plundering our wealth with these massive
my goodness,
hundreds of thousands.
We have got to stop this wasteful spending. We have got to. There is too many things. I mean, how much money actually went to COVID from the COVID bill? How much money?
It's so watered down with so many different amendments and earmarks that it never gets mentioned by the mainstream media, mind you.
That's why every single one of us, you get into a leadership position, y'all have better scrub through, look at every policy from one to whatever it may be. You have to look through everything, devise a plan, a creative plan, and take into account these curveballs we've had to deal with, whether it's a flood, whether it's a storm, whether it's a pandemic, whatever it may be. You have to have anticipated a plan as a leader. I know several school districts that were getting money thrown at them, and we're like, yay, we got money. A lot of them are under investigation for doing the wrong thing with their funds. And with that said, as a state representative, don't give me that half-hearted excuse of, I gave them money, it's not my job, I don't have to oversee it. No, you represent that district. If they're having problems, you need to come help them. Literally talk to the district. We've got brilliant school boards and so many vast areas, but then there's some that are failing, not only the system, the children.
The children are our future.
And that's the point. If we don't reach out and connect a way to help these kids bolster a better future, man, we're destined for a disaster. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, we got schools like Harlandale. They need help. We got schools like Somerset. Unbelievable. They need to partner up and talk. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Somerset's doing a phenomenal job with their school board. Now, Harlandale's coming on the rise. They're doing some good things. But they had a dilemma with the school board. Just recently, look it up. And that's a shame, because I don't blame the school board. I blame the representatives by not knocking on their door saying, what can we do? How can we help you? Instead of allowing them to fail.
So it's your belief that the representative of that district should reach out to these school boards. In some cases, I think that the parents reach out to the representatives, and then the representatives reach down.
If you call me, it's already too late. If you call me, it's already too late. As a representative, you have to be there, first and foremost. I mean, the mere definition, representative, I represent you.
Precisely.
Why have we forgotten that?
I think some politicians get into the political machine, and then they forget, why they got elected, and on some of my own representatives and state senators' non-response on
Correct.
very important issues, and it frustrates me.
And I will tell you this: when you go state level, you take that oath. You got to take your hat off. It's now a people representation notion. You have to represent everyone. I can't section out Republican and section out Democrat and section out Independents. I have to represent 167,000 of the district. And with that said, if you do it right as a representative, it will transcend. And everybody likes that winner. Everybody likes that good ideal, that epiphany. The only way this works, you write it right, it goes across the state, because everybody likes a good ideal.
Yes, yeah.
And as a good representative, you should be striving for that. I want the genius in a trailer park. I want that kid who's struggling and trying to make it, but makes it. That's what I want to represent.
Inspiring them to be something that they didn't otherwise know they could be.
Exactly.
To realize their full potential is paramount with children.
Oh, of course.
And in this district is no less important than any other district. And so that I'm sure that's on the voters' minds, and I'm hoping that once we engage with them more, they'll see, that it's not just about partisan politics. People can reach across the aisle and make things happen for the good of the people.
Well, I mean, let me give you an example right quick. So we had an opportunity to really help out. When COVID hit us, we had to go virtual all the way across. Am I correct?
Yes.
So with that said, we had some good ideals in place from the last legislation. Hey, let's put some funds aside for virtual. Nobody knew that, but it was literally, there was something on the table. I believe it's HB 1486, I want to say. With that said, it was on the table and it passed. It passed the House, it passed the Senate, it was moving forward. But the problem was, when they decided, let's go take a stance, it sat in committee. It never got passed.
Right.
And what happened to our children? A lot of them struggled like crazy trying to pass. And then they passed this half-hearted, oh, we're going to pass the kids regardless. What?
No, that my opinion is that they need to earn their grade.
Thank you.
But you need to give them the tools they need to earn that grade.
That's exactly what I feel. But I'm just saying, if you're not giving them the tools, we were preparing to give the tools. Nobody had the foresight of what happens if something happens. What happens if something big on a big landscape scope of things? What happens?
I.e. COVID-19.
Thank you.
And it did happen.
It's an evident thing. We know it is. We're not denying it.
Right.
But we weren't preparing. And as a representative, you got to prepare. And what we must do is learn from the past to build a better future. We must.
Very important.
This is not the first time we've had a pandemic. I promise you. Look in history.
Oh, yes. And this one seems to have more prominence than any other one that we've ever had, and then for obvious reasons, I think.
Exactly.
But, so, yes, that is very important. Thank you for your insight on that. You're pro Second Amendment?
Of course. I served 14 years for a reason. Don't take my weapons away. I earned the right to carry them. The right to bear arms.
So the law in Texas as of right now is it's advised, but it's not required under the law to be fully trained or now to even have a license to open carry. Now, private merchants have the right to put up signs, but in the state of Texas, you can open carry, and that is not probable cause to law enforcement currently in the state of Texas, from what I gather, which is an awesome thing. It's a beautiful
thing.
I
said, it's the right to bear arms.
It makes me feel safe if I can walk around.
Again, brother, I'll let you read it.
Constitution. Yes,
it's the right to bear arms for a reason. I want to make sure I protect my own backyard.
Yes.
I want to protect my family. And just because somebody takes a stance, my house is not going to be protected? Come on. That's not the country we live in. You protect what's yours.
And you have every right to do it with your arms. Have you done some community organizing in the district or any other area? I saw something that you were involved in.
See, I love when you say this. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the guy to boast about what I do. But it seems like on this campaign trail, I got to tell everybody. So, first and foremost, I'll pray with everybody. I don't care who it is. I'll sit down and pray with you right and left. Any of y'all want to call me. I'll pray with you. I don't care. So that's my first priority. But in the long run, I mean, I've connected an effort of literally community connection. I mean, when people told me you can't do it, when the government said you can't do it, I found a way to get it done. And it wasn't me. God found a way to get it done. I can't take credit. It is the big man upstairs said, this is what we're going to do. So I called places like Children's Hunger Fund, Pastoral Ministries. I called Daily Bread Ministries and said, hey, look, I just want to do a blessing. I want to help people. Now, during the course of this campaign, we fed over 10,000 families. And that's with the effort of Larry Ricketts and George Garza. Mm-hmm. That's not a lot of people, but we did it. Pallets and pallets of food. I'd call up the mayor's shirts. Hey, brother, I'd like to just come bless you. And he's freaking out. Really? Really? I said, no, we're giving you food, man. He goes, wow. Some cities I called said, we're good. We don't need them. So what did I do? I went to their neighbor, the ministries that they went to, and gave it to them. They got it and didn't even know
it anyway. Yeah.
Don't tell me no. The citizens need it.
If it's offered, it should always be accepted.
And there is no small task. I'm going to tell you right now, nothing is unforgiven. It's all about God's grace. We got some beautiful things that could happen. A lovely lady called me up and said, Adam, I want my dentist. I want to see you help him. Well, why? They took all his gear, his mask, his sanitizer, and shipped it somewhere else. He was closing doors. And I said, you know what? Within an hour, we called some people. We got him 250 masks, got him a couple gallons of sanitizer, we got him some little bottles, and he was back to work the next day, almost in tears. I said, you know what? And he wasn't in my district.
Yeah, doesn't that
but
it goes
that's
beyond
the
districts.
whole point.
Yes.
I mean, I was on the west side feeding people. I was on the south side feeding people. I literally went to Del Rio and gave sanitizer to the Border Patrol. When the people need it, as a leader and as a representative, you gotta get it done.
And I hope that your potential constituents that the forthcoming going into this race, I admire your humility.
Thank you.
Of you letting me know about things that you've done, because you're right, it's not something to really brag about. But I wanted the people to know that the convictions that you live under.
Well, that's why when you asked me, I was kind of hesitant to. I didn't run around with the camera. I took a picture here and there, but only to show them I was giving it to people. But organizations like Sam Ministry, organizations like nursing homes, and Villa Serena, they deal with veterans with addictions, and we're taking them to church, literally driving them. I'm dropping my kids off and then going to pick up veterans, taking them. It's things like that. I mean, this is all the selfless act of serving others, helping them, helping those in need. And you got to be that way. You, honestly, picking up the camera here, talking to me. Yeah. I mean, that's a blessing, because the way we're being censored right and left, your voice is so important, because it lets people know how passionate good people can be.
Absolutely, and I appreciate the time that you took with me to talk about these very important things. And I can see that you're on board with traditional family values.
Oh my goodness.
That defines America. That defines America. And as I bring it to a close, I just wanted to ask, is there anything pressing on your heart that you would want your future constituents to be aware of?
Yes. I would ask you this. We are coming up to a special election. September 20th through the 24th is early voting. September 28th is election day. Now, I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you, get out and vote. And let somebody know. Go from me to him to her, everybody, mothers, brothers, friends of a neighbor who lives across the street. Get them all involved. Your voice could right a wrong. For 167,000 people, you could change the very scope of this election. But I will promise you this election is unbelievable. Get involved with the process of something magical. We've got Democrats that feel abandoned. We've got Republicans that feel literally abused. Independents that are mad because they haven't had a card in the game. This is unbelievable to see what we're doing in this campaign. We are uniting all the way across. I can't explain this. You can't explain this. 6 months ago, we didn't even know this race was going to be here. But you deserve this. The people of this district deserve this. From all ethnicities, they deserve someone that's willing to get out and work for you, not abandon you. And I promise you, God will run this show. He will win this race. Thank you very much for just reaching out and talking to me. My website's forsalyer.com. My personal phone number is 210-685-9110. My personal email, adamsalyer@yahoo.com. I'm letting it all on the table because this is what you get. What you see is what you get. No mistakes at that. God bless you all and thank you. Remember, we are 118.
And that does it for the Uncensored Voice. Thank you for your time, Adam. God bless you, and best wishes for your campaign. And let's make District 118 great.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless.